This is task 1.39. So on task 1.39, we're gonna be talking about property boundaries. So when we say property boundaries, these are, of course, on some places like subdivisions, they have properties boundaries. Of course, so we're gonna need to draw some of those as a whole, and then we use cut. Okay, so if one feature is near another feature, of course we need to use cut on those. Okay, so I'm gonna show you on how to do that on the task. Okay, so on this task, it's clear that this is a boundary, this is a boundary, this is a boundary. These are boundaries. There's a lot of boundaries there. So what I'm going to do is on this part, I'm going to draw this as a whole. Then I'm gonna use cut for later. Okay. So I'm gonna choose the easiest way to draw that one. Then for later, I'm gonna use cut. Okay, so for on this part, use F, and then Shift T, and then space. Okay, so there's a boundary there. So be mindful of your boundary, guys. You have to know your boundaries on where to cut, so that it's easier for you. So for this one example, for this one, so there's these are two buildings, but there's a boundary here, so you have to cut it respect to boundary, of course. Okay, so that will make a straight line over these fences, so that is boundary. For this one, there's also a boundary there, kind of a boundary. I'm planning my cuts ahead of time so that it will be easier. That will be easier as go along with the project. So there's a cut there. It's kind of far. Let's move that one. So for this one, this is a good example. There's two buildings, different boundaries. So I'm gonna trace that building. Then I'm gonna get like just this one. I'm gonna shift this one. Okay, so sometimes I would like draw everything as a whole. Then for later, I would cut it by piece. So it makes things easier that way, right? So I could cut here using F, T, here. That I'm cutting through boundaries. So that is property boundaries. And then you have to draw the entire task basing on the PowerPoint that we've given, of course. So, but that's the main idea of this task. It teaches you about boundaries, and you always have to be mindful about those boundaries. Okay, so that is task 1.39.